Mr. Speaker, what we have here is a rule, not a budget, really not a budget enforcement system. We have a rule that will deem to the Appropriations Committee $1.1 trillion to spend on discretionary spending. This really is an unprecedented occurrence here on the House floor, because what's happening is we are marking a moment for the first time since the budget system was created in 1974 that dictated how Congress does budgets. For the first time since the 1974 Budget Act, the modern budgeting system in Congress, the House isn't going to do a budget. The House is not going to do a budget. They'll call this rule budget enforcement, but all it really is giving $1 trillion to the Appropriations Committee to spend. No budget, no priorities, no restraints, just turn the spending system on. Now, the majority talks about PAYGO as their budget enforcement. With all due respect, I think PAYGO is a sham. And whenever it's not circumvented, whenever it's actually applied, it's usually used to raise taxes on the American people. Another problem, Mr. Speaker, is what they're talking about in this rule is that the President's Fiscal Commission will assemble and bring a recommendation in December, and that will serve as our budget this year or something to that effect. I'm a member of the Fiscal Commission. I hope that we actually do come up with some concrete answers and some fiscal steps in the wrong direction. But what is the Fiscal Commission? It's a commission appointed by executive order by the President of the United States. So, in effect, are we saying that we are going to delegate the legislative branch's authority and responsibility to budget, the power of the purse, to an executive branch commission? Are we now simply saying that the President will appoint people and they will write the budget? I mean, whatever happened to protecting the separation of powers? Whatever happened to Congress actually doing its job? Whatever happened to actually passing a budget? So what we have here is we have a very tough election year, I suppose, and people don't want to do a budget, but they want to spend. And so for the first time since the 1974 Budget Act was in place, the House isn't even doing a budget. We're going to spend the money, but we're not going to account for it. We're not going to prioritize. And so when you take a look at the budget we are living under, the one that passed last year, the first Obama budget, that's the budget that is the incumbent budget. What does that budget do? It doubles our debt in 5 years and triples our debt in 10 years. Our debt just hit the $13 trillion mark. We are watching Europe in the throes of a debt crisis because they borrowed too much money, they taxed too much, they slowed down their economies, and now they're in crisis mode. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen here if we don't get our fiscal house in order. That's exactly what the credit markets are going to do to us if we don't show that we're serious about our fiscal responsibilities. So what is the primary responsibility of the legislative branch of government? Budgeting. And what is this majority doing? They're not budgeting. We're deeming. We're deeming $1.1 trillion so we can start spending. Not budgeting, spending. No restraints, no priorities, spending. Mr. Speaker, I really worry about this. I worry a lot about this because I worry we're sending all the signals, the wrong signals. The wrong signals to the economy, to businesses, to the credit markets, to entrepreneurs, that the Americans don't have their fiscal house in order, that our government isn't functioning because it's not budgeting. That's a shame. We should reject this and get on to the business of actually budgeting.